Today on Rainbow Country, Keith Bennie, the Senior Director of Audience and Community at the Toronto International Film Festival, talks about just what we can expect at Tiff 2024.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good evening and welcome. It's the opening night.
Tonight, we thank you. I am so humbled and so grateful to be here this evening.
I'm extremely excited to be here.
Thank you all for holy shit, there's a lot of y'all.
I'm very proud to be here tonight, and I'm so grateful that you joined us.
Walls drop till you get enough.
Hello, Toronto!
Happy Halloween, Michael.
Can we touch that, sis? Toronto, the best of them all.
That's it! That's amazing!
If you ever film the best place to watch films, it's Tiff.
I want to thank Toronto because you have always honored, celebrated, exalted female directors.
The warmth and the love that you gave me is something I will never forget in my life.
It's so exciting to be here at Toronto in this gorgeous theater.
This is just like Christmas Day. Thanks to you for coming.
This is truly a very special evening for me.
This is why we do what we do, you know?
I love this festival and it's an honor to be back.
Behind me is what we call society, what we see in there every day, and what we have on screen. Let's keep on doing movies about us. We're making pictures about what's happening today in society. Thank you for coming.
Keith Bennie, hi, how are you?
Hi, Mark. I'm great. How are you?
I am well. Okay, let's jump right in. 2024 marks the 49th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival. For TIFF 2024, generally speaking, Keith Bennie, what can audiences expect from this year's festival?
I think 2024 is a return to the festivals that audiences would have seen pre-pandemic. So the size and scale of the festival is on par with editions, in 2019, 2018, before obviously, the world changed and we did digital film festivals, and even the film festivals of the past 2 years were a bit of building back. And so, in 2022 was the first year without restrictions. Last year we had the actors strike. And so that really affected the Hollywood kind of star power. And so everything is kind of back to equilibrium now. We have a huge slate of films, over 250. We have a huge music focus this year. There's a lot of documentaries. So Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, Andrea Bocelli, Pharrell, Tragically Hip. A lot of really great music and film pairings this year.
So this is a gay radio show, and there are a number of LGBT films that are part of this year's film festival. There's, I believe it's a documentary, Will and Harper, that's from Will Ferrell from SNL days and all that sort of stuff, on a road trip with him and a transgender friend.
Yeah.
There's also a film called Queer from Luca Guadagnino. I've been practicing that name. And I think
you did it very well.
I think I still messed it up. But he did Call Me By Your Name, I believe, that starred Armie Hammer and Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, absolutely.
In regards to the LGBT contingency of films, like there are feature-length films, there are short films, what's on your radar?
So yeah, Queer by Luca Guadagnino. As you mentioned, we know him from Call Me By Your Name, Challengers, which was the film this year, and I Am Love. But you've never seen Luca Guadagnino like this, doing an adaptation of William S. Burroughs, which is challenging source material, but it has all of the Guadagnino distinct hallmarks, surprising and interesting music choices, heightened and elevated production design. Daniel Craig plays Lee, an expat in post-war Mexico City, who is wandering its streets, frequenting gay bars, and really looking for a companion. And so it really follows his journey in a very surreal and hallucinogenic kind of way. Really interesting film. I'm really curious to see how it lands with audiences. Very different from Call Me by Your Name and Challenger. Still has that kind of sensual quality, but it's a lot more surreal. And so some really interesting scenes in that. And Luca is usually known for finding new talent, and I think Drew Starkey, who plays the love interest in the film, will definitely find this to be a launching ground for him. And then I want to pick up what you said about Will and Harper, which completely kind of different. This is a very heartfelt documentary that, as you said, follows Saturday Night Live's alumni Will Ferrell and Harper Steele as they go on a road trip through the U.S. And so they met each other at Saturday Night Live in 1995, and they've been friends ever since. And when Steele kind of announced her transition, Will Ferrell reached out and decided that they could go on this road trip and really reaffirm their friendship. And so the film rolls, and you see them and what it means to have a relationship within today's very divided culture in the United States around trans rights. And so it follows them over 16 days as they journey from New York to Washington and throughout the United States. So two really interesting films. I think both of them will be really well received by audiences.
Okay, so this year in 2024 is the first year that Rogers is presenting the Toronto International Film Festival. Just a little aside, I remember back in the day being at home and watching on Community Channel 10, because they would stream live during the festival, the press conferences for the films. And it was such a highlight, I thought, that on TV you're watching live coverage of the Toronto International Film Festival from Rogers. Do you, maybe not this year, but maybe in future years, do you think that could happen again?
Well, I'll say that we're very grateful to be working with Rogers this year. They believe in the mission of TIFF to transform the way people see the world through film. And, to your question, I think our goal is always to try to bring as many audiences into the film festival as possible, whether that is, coming down to King Street and attending a screening, or sitting outside of a fan zone, or just being part of the energy. And so all different types of digital ways that we can engage audiences who may not be able to come down and take part, we're definitely exploring. And so some of our Q&As, filmmaker Q&As, you will see reposted on TIFF social channels, and we'll work with our partners to amplify that content as well. And so we're really excited to have Rogers on board, and looking forward to the partnership this year.
It's almost like a bit of a homecoming in a sense, because I guess maybe they were like a media sponsor back in the day or something, but now they're presenting the festival. Excellent.
Yeah, I'll say that, the other part of my role at TIFF is I oversee the Film Reference Library as well, which is on the fourth floor of TIFF Lightbox. And, I see a lot of the archival and kind of old images of the festival. And you're right, those Rogers microphones with the the kind of Rogers icon in front of everyone at the press conferences. I've seen many images with that. So that image is very kind of iconic from some of the early 1990s film festivals.
So September 5th to the 15th, 11 days of Canadian and international cinema, special events, talks. My last question for you, Keith Bennie, do you have any advice for people that may be attending the festival, maybe one day, maybe a series of films during one day, maybe attending over multiple days? Any advice to any film goers during TIFF 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great question, because sometimes the festival can feel hard to penetrate. There's 250 films. Where do I start? Where do I begin? So two pieces of advice. One is join a rush line. For those who have never joined a rush line, that is, you lining up outside of a cinema hoping that there'll be additional seats that audience members from the street will be able to join. It's a great way not only to see a film in a spontaneous way. You might not even know what you're going to see, but you will know that the caliber of the film you're going to see is outstanding. But rush lines are a great place to meet people from all over the film festival ecosystem. So you could be in line with someone who volunteers for Tiff, or a student from a local university and college who's studying film, or someone from the press or industry. And so the rush line is kind of like that beehive of activity where people will tell you what they've seen, what they recommend. And so joining the rush line, I think it's something I always recommend to people who are first timers to really get that film festival energy. And secondly, come on down to King Street. We do something called Festival Street for the first 4 days of the film festival. King Street is shut down. And so it's a kind of open street festival where we have all different types of audience engagement. You can take in the sights, sit on a patio, people watch, really get the feel of the energy that TIFF brings to the city. So rush lines, Festival Street, those are your two best bets for an entry level to the festival.
Well said, well said. Keith Bennie, well said, well done, well curated. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Mark. I always enjoy speaking with you.
How are you? Good evening and welcome. It's the opening night.
Tonight, we thank you. I am so humble and so grateful to be here this evening.
I'm extremely excited to be here.
Thank you all for holy shit. There's a lot of y'all.
I'm very proud to be here tonight, and I'm so grateful that you joined us.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Hello, Toronto.
Happy Halloween, Michael.
Can we talk about this? Toronto, the best of them all.
If you're a film buff, the best place to watch films is Tiff.
I want to thank Toronto because you have always honored, celebrated, exalted female directors.
The warmth and the love that you gave me is something I will never forget in my life.
It's so exciting to be here at Toronto in this gorgeous theater.
This feels like Christmas Day.
Thanks to you for coming.
This is truly a very special evening for me.
This is why we do what we do,
I love this festival and it's an honor to be back.
Behind me is what we call society, what we see in there every day, and what we have on screen. Let's keep on doing movies about us. We're making pictures about what's happening today in society. Thank you for coming.